Good evening, Bahamas. Coming up tonight on our news.
Stephen Isaacs is sworn in as Chief Justice of the Bahamas.
Gaming Minister responds to concerns over the new gaming patron tax.
I'm Kyle Joaquin.
I'm Andretti Ben.
And this is Fit Friday.
Our news is brought to you by Alive.
Welcome to our news and thanks for joining us. I'm Vonik Tood. Topping news tonight, Stephen Isaacs was sworn in at Government House as Chief Justice this morning, ending months of speculation and criticism over the Prime Minister's decision to leave that important post substantively vacant since December. Jasmine Brown reports.
Isaacs called his new post the role of a lifetime, as he insisted he will serve the Bahamian people as best he can.
I, Stephen Isaacs, do swear that I will be faithful and bear true allegiance to Her Majesty Queen Elizabeth II, her heirs and successors according to law. So help me God. I, Stephen Isaacs, do swear that I will well and truly serve Her Majesty Queen Elizabeth II, her heirs and successors, in the office of Chief Justice, and will do right to all manner of people after the laws and usages of the Bahamas, without fear or favor, affection, or ill will. So help me God.
It was with that brief oath that Isaacs was officially sworn in as Chief Justice. The new CJ pledged to do all he can to make the judicial system more efficient.
And one of the ways to do that is to focus on the administrative staff. If they're efficient, the judges are more efficient.
In mid-July, Cabinet Office announced that Isaacs, who was acting in the post since last December, had been appointed to the substantive post of Chief Justice. Prime Minister Dr. Hubert Minnis, after consultation with opposition leader Philip Brave Davis, advised Governor General Dame Marguerite Pendling to appoint Isaacs to the post with effect July 9th. The decision came 7 months after former Chief Justice Sir Hartman Longley was appointed President of the Court of Appeal last December. Members of the judiciary, including the Bahamas Bar Association, had criticized Minnis' failure to appoint a substantive Chief Justice, calling it an egregious affront on the independence of the third branch of government. Attorney General Carl Bethel addressed the criticism.
The Constitution vests the Prime Minister and the Governor General with their peculiar authority. Critics will criticize you if you do something. They'll criticize you if you don't. If you go slow, they say go faster. I'm not really too concerned about these critics, okay?
Bethel added that now that it's all said and done, it was evident that Isaacs was the right man for the job.
We are very, very proud of his achievements. We think that he is an excellent jurist, a man who has dealt with every manner of legal dispute and who has done so efficiently, effectively, fairly, and impartially.
Isaac says he is humbled by the confidence officials have vested in him. He has served as acting CJ 8 times. Reporting for our news, I'm Jasmine Brown.
Following the suggestion by a former Prime Minister for government to consider purchasing the Grand Bahama Port Authority instead of the Grand Lucayan Resort, disillusioned residents of that island are having their say on the matter. Jared Higgs reports.
Elizabeth Knowles is a pensioner who has lived in Freeport, Grand Bahama for the past 44 years. She's not convinced that government purchasing the Port Authority would make a difference to the luckless city of Freeport, but she does admit that things were far different years ago.
When I first came here, the Port Authority, the economy was much, much better. But now the increasing of things is, especially when, I'm not working. I'm not employed. I am a pensioner. So the economy has been like it's dead right now.
Her friend, Nadine Neely, has also lived in Freeport for several years. Neely isn't sure whether government should purchase the port, but she did express some doubt over its current effectiveness.
I don't know what they're doing to bring investors here, or if they're just waiting on the government. I can't say what they're doing. But one thing I like for them to do is that service charge, where they charge you all that money.
Former Cabinet Minister Kenneth Russell was more direct in his response, asserting government should not buy the Port Authority, despite his acknowledgement of the shortcomings of the entity.
Grand Bahama Port Authority, they're having some challenges, serious challenges. But the government also runs East and West Grand Bahama. Just do the comparison, and you will see that we can't allow our infrastructure in Freeport to go to hell like the rest of the infrastructure in Grand Bahama and other islands of the Bahamas. And if the government takes over Freeport, all will be is another, after a number of years, another breakdown from the island.
Former Marco City MP Greg Moss agrees.
The persons who are running Freeport now are legacy inheritors from Edward St. George. And their profit center, if you ask me, is simply the revenue being generated by the tired old measures in Freeport, licensing, royalties from business. And so their focus is how do they increase the cost of licenses? How do they increase the cost of service charges? How do they get a bigger share of businesses coming in by tagging royalty rights onto those businesses? And they see that as being their profit center, rather than how do you grow the pie.
Meanwhile, these Grand Bahama residents shared their views on how government can boost the island's ailing economy.
The government should get on the Port Authority case to get them to function with all the agreements they had. There's a lot of clauses, a lot of agreements when the Port Authority was formed to take care of Grand Bahama. But obviously they have failed, and they'll continue to fail because there's nobody to police them.
I feel like the government supposed to have ownership of everything, right? And for number one, these Port Authority and all these different business never supposed to own these places. How you can come in the Bahamas and do but own?
Maybe if they could work together and stuff like that, and holding each other accountable.
The Grand Bahama Port Authority was created after the signing of the Hawkesbury Creek Agreement between the Bahamas government and Wallace Groves back in 1955. The agreement allows the Port Authority significant tax concessions, which have been extended to 2054. Reporting for Our News, I'm Jared Higgs.
A board game in Bamboo Town ended fatally last night when the occupants of a white vehicle pulled up and opened fire on a group of people playing outside a home on Taylor Drive off Victoria Gardens around 10 p.m. Police Press Liaison Officer Superintendent Shanton Knowles says a man and a woman were shot.
Shortly after 10 p.m., police responded to this street. This is Taylor Street off Victoria Boulevard in Bamboo Town. After we received reports that gunshots were fired in this area and 2 persons were shot. Upon our arrival, we confirmed that information. 1 person was confirmed deceased on the scene. Another was taken to hospital in stable condition.
Police believe the victim is in his 60s. We understand he is Jerome Pinder. Authorities are now appealing to anyone with information on this latest killing to come forward.
Around that time, a group of persons were sitting outside playing a board game when a white vehicle pulled through the corner. The occupants fired at those persons who were playing, injuring them, and then sped away. So we are asking people who may have been in this area and who would have seen what happened, who has some information that can assist us in locating those persons responsible, to please give us a call. Our Crime Stoppers number is 328-8477. That's 328-TIPS.
61 people have been murdered in the Bahamas so far this year. Meanwhile, police on Eleuthera are investigating an apparent drowning. According to reports, a man was swimming on a beach near Tarpon Bay around 1 p.m. Thursday. His body was later discovered floating on a seabed. He was taken to a clinic in Rock Sound where he was pronounced dead. An autopsy will be performed to determine the cause of death. 3 days before the implementation of a 5% stamp tax on gaming patrons' deposits, Minister responsible for gaming, Dionisio de Aguilar, is responding to concerns that the new tax is a direct attack on the industry. He insisted that a decrease in gaming patrons might not be such a bad thing. He spoke with Jillian Gray.
Amid criticism from gaming operators that the new patron tax could drive gamers out of the industry, Minister responsible Dionisio de Aguilar says that might not be such a bad thing.
Less Bahamians gaming is not necessarily a bad thing. You know, we want Bahamians to put their money into productive businesses and into productive causes. Gaming is not one such industry. It's a vice, and you know, if that is the result, is that necessarily such a bad thing? We want people to put their money where they will get a return.
D'Aguilar added that Bahamians pumping money into that industry is unproductive. Earlier this week, FML CEO Craig Flowers slammed the government's decision to tax patrons 5% on their deposits as a direct attack on the industry. However, the tourism minister asserted that whenever new taxes are introduced, there is always someone preaching doom and gloom.
Well, you know, anytime you introduce a new tax, there's always the doom and gloom. And everybody says it's going to drive whatever industry into the ground. I used to be one of those persons. When we introduced the value-added tax on the 1st of January 2015, I was one of those that said that the end was nigh and the country was going to grind to a halt. That isn't the case. So we don't know.
Island Luck CEO Sebas Bastian said he is not a supporter in any way of being treated like a second-class citizen. His comments came after the government made the decision to change its policy on owner-occupied property following a letter of complaint from Lyford Key residents. Bastian said he expects similar consideration for his business. Well, here's how D'Aguilar responded to that.
Say that the affluent, moneyed people called up the government, and the government buckled under that pressure is absolute rubbish. You can look in the budget yourself, and you will see that no additional money was forecasted from property tax, and so the government never expected that.
Reporting for Our News, I'm Jillian Gray.
Ever wondered what it's like to train like an Olympian? Well, Kyle Joaquin found out today in this week's edition of Fit Friday.
Ready? Let's go. Good. Push back. Heel up, heel up, heel up.
Andretti Bain is an Olympic silver medalist and founder of the Bahamian Dream Strength and Conditioning. And now this quarter-miler turned personal trainer is teaching me a thing or two about maintaining a good beach body. So we got started with the warm-up.
We take 30 seconds, we come back. We take 30 seconds, we go back. We take 30 seconds, we go back.
Okay.
Ready?
Yeah. They say 80%?
Yeah, ready? Let's
hey.
Go. Let's go.
We then added some stretching.
There you go. Get the knee up high. Good. Good. We're trying to stretch all in the hips, all in the glutes. Good. Drive the knee up.
Then it was time for the real work. We got on some sprints or suicides, adding 10 meters each time.
In the usual setting, we'd probably do maybe 2 to 3 sets of that. Whew. For the sake of what we're doing today, do one. That's one. Okay? Now catch yourself. Yeah. Then we go into. Ready, Kyle?
Yeah.
Let's go. Good. Squat some more, Kyle. Good. Slam up. Come on. Squat some more. There you go. Slam ball. All right. What we're going to do, pick up from here in the squat position. Want you over your head like this. Slam down.
He asked me to do 10, but I'm going to do 20, right, Dreddy?
We're going to 2020 Olympics, right?
2020, that's me?
2020.
In Tokyo.
Let's go. Ready? Let's go. Slam down, Kyle. Lean into it some more. Good.
By 15, I was tired.
Good. Good. Got a long day at work. You take it out on this ball. It's your stress ball. Good. Good job. Good job. You need to hydrate?
No.
You sure?
Yeah.
Good, Kyle. Good.
Then finally, some abs.
Good. Good. Okay?
Yeah.
Kyle, congratulations.
I did it.
You did it.
And we were done.
So why is it so important to get a full body workout like we did just now? It only took like 20 to 30 minutes.
Well, the whole thing is about balance. You know, you see a lot of persons who would mainly just be focused on muscle building or weight loss. For me, I look at the overall perspective. You know, I think about overall health and fitness.
By the looks of things, I probably won't be ready for the 2020 Tokyo Olympics. With another edition of Fit Friday for Our News, I'm Kyle Joaquin.
Still to come on our news, the AG blasts the opposition's token amendments to the Over the Hill bill. Plus, the PLP pays tribute to former Senator Talader Strawn. That's coming up when our news returns.